I am so obsessed with this book. The most boring thing that I've ever read. What's up, friends and the inevitable enemy? I am so excited to be bringing to y'all the first ever TBR Cards reading vlog. I've been chatting with my patrons and asked them what kind of videos that they wanted to see from me, and they voted almost unanimously to see more content surrounding the TBR cards that I created and are illustrated by none other than Olivia Simone. So if you're not familiar with the TBR cards, there's 54 cards in a deck. Each deck has a custom illustration by Olivia Simone and then a reading prompt that goes with those illustrations, and I pull cards every single month in order to help me pick a book that I want to read. So for the purposes of this video, I have picked 3 books out. I'm reading this for the Battle Ball Gown card, which says to read a book where fashion is crucial to the story. Then I pulled the Haba Na card, for which I selected Moths. Now this card is one of the most difficult ones to pick books for because it says to read a trope that you're not exactly a fan of. And the reason why I decided to go with Moths is because this is a gender apocalypse, and in my experience, gender apocalypse books are always a miss for me.
Okay, I guess we're done talking about this book.
All the things we don't talk about, which I picked for the neurodiverse card. My mom is coming back in with the dogs, so I'm gonna end this update because it's gonna get very loud. But without further ado, oh my god. Hi cuties. Wanted to give a reading update for the books that I am reading that my TBR cards selected. The first book I'm going to be updating is Moths by Jane Hennigan. This book is, I am only on page 26 and already have enough thoughts to warrant an update. I'm kind of keeping a list of the content warnings in the beginning of the book because I knew that this book was going to be a very intense one. The content warnings that I have thus far are for animal death, animal horror, and mention of COVID. Now this does take place in a world post-COVID, but COVID is literally just mentioned and moved aside, so we will kind of let you know if more mentions of COVID do happen. Did not realize that this was a British horror novel. That is really exciting. I really love British mystery and thrillers. Just love the tone. Very, very straightforward writing. It's not fluffy. It is super fast paced. It is quite easy to fly through it because of that. I did not realize that this was then and now storytelling, and the then perspective is fascinating. So basically this story is told from Mary's perspective from when the virus hit and she had a 13-year relationship with her husband and a really great son, and so you're following her just like taking the kid to school and hooking up with her husband, just having a normal life, and knowing that this cloud of doom, you know as the reader what is coming for that piece. And then it takes place years later when Mary is an old woman and she is working in the dust-free facilities where men are kept isolated from society. And by old, I don't know how old she is, but she describes herself as old. And that could mean a lot of things, especially because an event like this warps one's concept of age. Everyone born after that event will seem forever young because they didn't have that experience. And I think a lot of times age is wrapped up in experiences, especially of traumatic, catastrophic events. But the thing that I am enjoying when we are in the present is, of course, the world building. I really love just hearing about how society is adapting. For example, girls have grown up in a society where being a woman engineer is normal, and so they don't understand when women that are older complain about sexism or the trauma that they experienced. It's also interesting how there is a belief in the dust-free facilities that all of this is a hoax. And during what's called the eclipse, the men are put on hyper lockdown. So basically the men that are not infected are kept in these dust-free facilities to make sure that they don't get infected. But they're still in captivity. But when the eclipse comes, it's a particular time of year. That's when the moths lay the most eggs, and it allows more men to get infected. So during the eclipse, men are kept separate in just isolated rooms. And so these men who are completely virus-free start to think that all of this is a hoax, that it's not real, that it's just a way to oppress men. So that belief and the culture surrounding that belief is really fascinating. The book reminds me a lot of Tender is the Flesh, especially with the now perspective, but then with the then perspective, when we're back before the virus hit, it really gives cinematic. It reminds me a lot of the World War Z movie. It reminds me a lot of 28 Days Later. The eclipse, as it became known, that time in July when the moths burst from their chrysalides to feed and breed and lay their eggs for the following year. The air would become thick with them, and everyone would have to stay indoors. The men were nervous about the coming season of confinement. It was done for their own safety. The eclipse was the time when the moths bred and filled the skies. It marked a much higher risk of infection. Understandably, the men were jumpy and a little more emotional than usual. Another thing about the world building that I find interesting is this bit where she narrates, what was more important to me now was that we had reliable electricity. For the first few months after everything changed, it was touch and go as to whether any of us would make it. We couldn't bury the dead fast enough. We had no clean running water nor heating in the compound, and it was a brutally cold winter that first year. And then it just goes on more from there. So that is my update for this book. My mama and I are doing face masks, as you can see, so I am going to just move the camera so that she doesn't feel exposed, and I'm gonna give an update for the second book that I am reading because my TBR cards made me do so. Now we're gonna talk really quick about All the Things We Don't Talk About by Amy Feltman. So far, I am very much enjoying this book. It is a YA book, which I didn't realize. I knew that it followed a teenager, but I didn't know that it was YA. However, it reads very new adult. It is a YA book that adults can comfortably read and not be kind of irritated about the writing. Y'all know that I just tend to prefer adult writing. Even when I was a kid, I was like that. So if you are one of those people that stays away from YA but are interested in this book, ew, that wasn't a booger, I swear. It was part of the clay mask that fell off.
Oh, that felt so gross.
Hate that for me. If you're one of those people, I think that you'll still...
So sorry.
You'll still be able to enjoy this book. I'm really loving the non-binary depiction so far, and I want to give some content warnings that I've uncovered so far. I'm halfway through the book, and the content warnings are as follows: school shootings, abandonment, and alcoholism. Now, some of the things that I've written down is that I love Julian's chapters. That is the father. When he's narrating the story, when we're following him, I am the most invested, to the point where sometimes I forget about Morgan and their storyline. But when we're back in Morgan's storyline, I'm still really enjoying it. I love the budding romance. That's the other thing. Oh my god, like basically on page 1, this really cute romance starts, and it's believable and beautiful and complex, and I really, really love it. Morgan falls in love with this girl in their school, and it's just magical in the best way. But it's also angsty and insecure, and they're trying to figure out how to date as a non-binary person, and she is learning how to refer to them in ways that's affirming, and just how to love them as a human being because of who they are, things that have nothing to do with their gender.
It's just incredible.
And then I wrote that it's very, very fast paced. I started it earlier today. I think for 2 hours of reading it, I'm halfway through it. The last thing is that it has amazing, great first sentences for the chapters. So many of the chapters start with absolute bangers. The opening line to the book is, "It started with a gun that didn't go off." Amazing, amazing. The book starts out with a potential school shooting. It doesn't end up happening, but it's very traumatizing to Morgan, our protagonist, and that trauma kind of follows them through the book. It's just so good. So we are going to take off these masks when they're ready, of course, and I will update again when I have something to say. Hello, cuties. It is 2:38 in the morning and I am exhausted. These bags are designer. I am like 130 pages into Moths. Literally had to put down the things we don't talk about, the things we couldn't say, or whatever the fuck it's called, because Moths is so good. the author added in another perspective, and her narration is fascinating. We've gotten to a part in the book where there's just tons of horror scenes, and they're very visceral and cinematic, and they just give you all of the feelings. It's really, really good. And there's also some truly heartbreaking things in the text, just things that happen to people that are really sad. I have so much to say about the book, but right now we're gonna pause it because I'm so fucking tired. So in the morning I will update you on when I'm more coherent, and hopefully keep reading. I'm obsessed. Good morning, cuties. I am on my way to an appointment quick, and I have to drop off a book for a subscriber. I'm really, really excited because I have a signed copy of Chef's Kiss, which I know happens to be Sarah of Night Owl Reader's favorite book. And it's her birthday, so I'm sending it out to her for her birthday, and I really hope that she likes it. So I wanted to give a really quick update of Moths. I hoped that I would be able to read more of this morning, but
when does that ever happen?
the things that I wanted to say that I didn't last night. I love that we do have an elder protagonist. The protagonist is like 70 years old, and the men in these facilities can't have books, so none of them can read. Hate that for them. And the reason that they can't have books is because the toxic threads from the moths can hide between the pages. And honestly, I would just be like, end it all. Please kill me. What's interesting about the virus is that it exhibits as flu-like symptoms followed by violence. And then there's an increase in heart rate and respiratory failure in 50% of the infected men. So basically 50% of the men who get the virus just die. There's a mass shortage of men, and there's like only 30,000 men in the particular state that our protagonist is set in. And that's basically all I have to say for this update. I am so obsessed with this book. I do not care about the other book that I'm reading right now for the TBR cards. All my attention is on this one, so I'm gonna go to my appointment and update you when I have more to say. What's up, cutie? Every time I turn this camera on, she got something to say. You gotta be right here. You wanna be a YouTuber so bad. Who's your good girl? Who's the star of the show? Huh? Well, you gotta give them something. If people watching at home, you can't just stay there and be pretty. You wanna do a trick? Can you go in a circle? No, don't wag it. You know what I'm saying. Can you go in a circle? Good girl, what a good circle. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. Let's get her a treat.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was a good circle.
Jack.
She hates that command. So sometimes I'll give it to her and she'll just wag her tail because she doesn't want to do it. All right, here's some rice. Yep, she had a little mouthful of rice.
We love that for her.
I just got back from my appointment. It went really well. Ignore my eyelashes, they look a little bit crazy. But I am sitting down to read more of Moths. And I wanted to give an update on the things that I forgot to mention. So I'm currently on page 120. I'm just under halfway through with Moths. And one of the things that I found really interesting and questionable ethically was that there has been the introduction to what are called visitations. So during visitations, women can visit men in the facilities. They pick which man they want and they copulate, and it's not done for the purpose of furthering the human race because everything is like insemination now. It's literally just like a fun pastime. And when that got introduced, I was like, well, that doesn't seem ethical because these men are incarcerated basically, so they can't really give consent because women are in a position of power over them, and some of their handlers, they're called carers, will visit them as well. And I'm like, well, that is super wrong power dynamically. But I was like, okay, I'm interested to see where this goes. Yes? She's so fascinated by the camera. I don't know why.
She's fascinated by that quesadilla.
It's an empty plate. Akasha, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing.
too.
That's happening. Okay, so where was I? What a weirdo. Basically, one of the guys who's being visited has a conversation with the elder protagonist and is like, you know, insinuates that he's uncomfortable with what's happening and that he doesn't want to do it. And so she's like, you know, this is the first time that consent has really been talked about or even thought of. So that kind of thing. So I'm really interested to see where that goes, and I do want to give a content warning for lack of consent, that sort of thing. The medication is adjusted a few days before the visitations. The removal of some of the testosterone blockers enables the men to participate better in the evening. However, it does mean that they can be harder to handle in the days leading up to the event. They are chattier, more physical, and it's been known for fights to break out. So one of the things that they do in this society is they reduce medically the testosterone levels in men so that women can handle them in these facilities. But then when visitations happen, they give them their testosterone back so they can, you know, get it on like Donkey Kong. So yeah, that is basically all I want to say. I'm gonna keep reading. I love this book, you guys. Like, I'm so freaking fascinated. Y'all, don't take this the wrong way, but I hate good people. Look, there is a time and a place to be a good person, okay? This bitch getting on my damn nerve. So our elder protagonist, who up until now I've loved her, she's my girl. She finds out about something that is top secret, conspiracy-like. Who are you? Oh, somebody who wants my money. Well, you ain't gonna get it because I don't have it. And the person's like, you have to promise me that you're not gonna say anything. And she's like, I'm not gonna say anything. The next day. Tell me why. Mary, what were you just saying?
Wait, what?
Mary, were you just saying those things to Tony about the vaccine to make him open the door? I thought about telling her it was a lie, but I was tired of lying. It was time people knew. Yes, I said, it's all true. Bitch, you lied for one day. What do you mean you're tired of lying? It was 24 hours that you found out about the secret. Can you calm down? How do you, look, one day. You couldn't keep a secret for one day. If you tell me a secret, it's going to my grave. I am so much better at keeping other people's secrets, but not my own. If it's my own secret, I will tell everybody. Like, better hope that I never kill someone, because I'm gonna tell all. I could literally kill somebody, and it would be a mistake, because I don't think I could ever just kill a person. My mother would help me bury the body because she's amazing, and I promise you the next day I'd make a video about it. I would be like, my top secret murder. Oh, I cannot with this girl. What? Who is texting me? Who are you? Oh, I could hear my ex calling. Okay, sorry. There's this girl, and she texted me back, and I didn't think she was gonna text me back, but she texted, and now I'm like, maybe there's a chance that I'm not gonna die alone in a house full of dogs. Why am I upside down? What the fuck just happened? I feel like I'm gonna get out. What happened? Hated that for me. So we're gonna give a little content warning for insect horror. I need y'all to suffer through this with me. I physically gagged when I read this. The hollow looked moist in the, right, we already not off to a good start. The hollow looked moist in the watery morning light, rimmed by silvery trails like slug spittle. The smell was much stronger now, and I covered my mouth with the lapel of my jacket as I approached. I peered in to find the entire cavity rippling with movement. Gone were the silky strands. Only a few frayed ribbons clung to the edge of the hole. In their place was an orgy of caterpillars, hairy and burrowing. The grayish-white creatures carpeted the sides of the hollow, crawling over each other in a frenzied waking. It gets worse. She puts her hand in there, into the... It's disgusting. The other thing that I want to mention about this book, trans and intersex people so far do not exist. at all. There is no mention of trans people, there's no mention of intersex people and how the virus affects them. So that is a pretty serious concern for me because the author is ignoring a giant part of our population. But there's another kind of sciencey bit that I wanted to update y'all on regarding like the world building, and I just really love how much research this author has done. So I'm gonna read that bit to you really quick. And also I realized on the back of the book it says that this is a remastered, revitalized version of the previously self-published smash hit dystopian thriller, which shows us a new post-pandemic world. Did not know that this was originally self-published, and it definitely gives self-published vibes in a really good way. Being self-published is not a bad thing, and I think that it takes a lot of gusto to self-publish a book and not have that weight of a publisher behind you. So big kudos to the author for that. The male immune system is not weaker, but it's less vigilant than the female one. Men's bodies tend to notice a pathogen less quickly, so their immune response is mobilized at a slightly later stage. As this toxin is so fast acting, the small difference in response time proved disastrous for men. By the time their immune systems notice the toxin, it is already in the brain, and the inflammation their own bodies cause in response to the foreign invader is actually what kills them, as it occurs in such a vital organ. It's the men's own physiology that kills them or renders them insane, and whether they die almost instantly or turn psychotic depends on what part of the brain the toxin has reached when their inflammatory response is activated. Women are spared because our bodies notice and react to the toxin before it has a chance to reach the brain in any significant quantities. Just love that science. Like, it just makes the book so much more understandable, believable, that kind of thing. Versus like, okay, a mysterious virus comes and just infects all the men and they go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I just love this book so much. Okay, so brief update. I'm super excited about this. Page 214. We haven't found any man immune so far, so some seem to recover for short periods. If an intersex individual presents as male but has no Y chromosome, in theory, they could be immune. So this conversation takes place back as the epidemic is hitting, the pandemic is hitting, and there's like a press conference where someone from the British government is speaking to a group of women about what they know so far about what's going on. So I'm just happy that finally there has been a discussion about people that are intersex. Okay, I am very happy to update that on page 241, a trans woman character is introduced, and that is all I'm going to say about that. I do want to give a content warning for misgendering of a trans woman because one of the cis women around her uses the wrong pronouns. The main character does not. 50 pages left. Let's burst through this and then we will review and get back to the things we don't say, the things we couldn't talk about. I don't know why I can never remember the name of that freaking book. And the grand finale. Da, 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 da. The piece de resistance.
There it is.
Ooh, yes, yes. We love it.
All right.
We love it. Bon appetit, Mama. Thank you for cooking.
Oh, you're so welcome.
So we are about to have dinner. I still have the last 30 pages of Moths to finish. We're gonna eat. We're gonna watch the new Grudge.
Oh!
Yeah.
Nice.
It better not let me down because my mama and myself are big fans of the original Grudge.
Big fan.
Did you see Ju-on? Did you see the Japanese?
Of course.
Oh, so good. Comment down below what, out of the 3 Grudges, what is your favorite? Which do you prefer, the Japanese Grudge or the early?
The first one with
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm,
Come on.
it's a hard toss between the two of them for me, honestly. But okay, gosh, stop bumping me.
Mommy said.
So Moths has been finished, wine has been procured, and dinner has been consumed. The Grudge was terrible. It was pretty bad, right, Mom? It was terrible. It was terrible. The storytelling was the jumps, everything about it was terrible. So do not watch it. If you haven't seen it, it's literally not worth your time. Moths is sitting at 4 4.5 to a 5-star. Doesn't quite feel like a 5, but I want to read some other reviews. Loved that it ended up being trans inclusive, intersex inclusive, not to the point of representation, but this is the first time I've ever seen inclusivity in a gender apocalypse book from that's not Manhunt, and I still haven't read Manhunt. So yes, Moths did way better of a job talking about a gender apocalypse than The Handmaid's Tale did, than The Power did, than When Women Were Dragons did. All of those books were trans exclusive and intersex exclusive, so just wasn't a fan of them. This is the only one that I can highly recommend. I want to do some more research into the author and listen to some interviews from them and just learn about their background, their perspective, why they wrote the book, etc. But yes, Moths was phenomenal, and I am so excited that the TBR Cards made me pick it up this month. And now it's time for me to finish the book by Amy Feltman, which I am very excited about. Mom, you suck at this game.
I really do.
Did you die?
I died so violently. It was so violent.
Oh my god.
They caught me right here.
So Mom is practicing dying at Crash Bandicoot, and I'm trying to finish all the things we don't talk about. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bored. I'm on page 181, and I'll probably just update. I'll probably just update y'all when I finish. Another day, still got bills to pay. Hello, y'all, what's up? I did end up finishing all the things we don't talk about last night, but I was so exhausted. There was no way I was going to be able to give any kind of coherency in a review. So officially, I am going to be rating this book 3 stars. 3 stars. Some of the things that I really liked was how aggressively it talked about mental health and representation for therapy, and how this kid, our protagonist, whose name is Morgan, how they struggle so much with anxiety, and the way that their anxiety looks was something that I very much related to. I did not have any issues with the non-binary representation, but I do want to say that this is not Own Voices representation.
What the hell is happening with the light?
The reason why this ended up being a 3-star instead of higher is because I just found that it got repetitive. It felt a bit long, despite the fact that it's such a fast-paced read, but it's very character-driven, and for me, I felt like we got what we came for pretty early on in the book, and I was very, very bored with the last half of the book personally. Really excited about the next book that I'm going to be reading for the purposes of this vlog, because that is The Things We Do to Our Friends, and the Battle Ball Gown picked this book for me. The Battle Ball Gown card says to read a book where fashion is crucial to the story. Moody city of labyrinth alleyways, oppressive fog, and buried history, the ultimate destination for someone with something to hide. Already off to a great start. What better place to conceal the secrets of her past than at the university in the heart of the fabled cobblestoned old town. She meets Tabitha, a charismatic, beautiful, and intimidatingly rich girl from her art class, and she knows she's destined to become friends with her and her exclusive circle. Claire is immediately drawn into their libertine world of sophisticated dinner parties and summers in France. The new life she always envisioned for herself has seemingly begun. Even though their intimacy begins to darken into codependence, Claire starts to realize just what her friends are capable of, and it's already too late. A seductive thriller about the toxic battle between those who have and those who covet, between the desire to truly belong and the danger of truly being known. Honestly, this sounds so freaking good, but you guys know that dark academia usually is a miss for me. There's a certain type of dark academia that I like, and it is not this kind of story. However, I'm really, really excited about it. It is described as take the secret history, throw in some foie gras, and make it 100 times weirder. Creepy bad girls torturing men and each other. A misanthropic delight of a book. Y'all know that I hate Donna Tartt with a passion, so anything that is compared to Secret History, I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm excited. It is a debut, and I'm ready to go into it with an open mind. My mother and myself are going to go grocery shopping. I'm hoping that we have enough time to stop by Michael's to get an organizer for the bathroom because it's not the vibe. Already the bathroom was really crowded before she moved in, and now that she moved in, it looks like a crime scene. It's giving American Horror Story. Her birthday is also on Valentine's Day, so I'm also hoping to go to the dollar store with her and just get a bunch of decorations for the house. We really want to decorate the house for Valentine's Day this year because it's really hard for my mom to celebrate her birthdays without my abuela. She died of COVID, and so I really want to make sure that this birthday is special, especially because this is going to be the first time in 12 years, 12 plus years, 15 years that my mom and I have lived together and get to celebrate a birthday with us both living under the same roof. I'm really excited about that, but I'm gonna end this update. I'm so geeked to start this book, and I will let y'all know when I have something to report. Good evening, friends and the inevitable enemy. I am back from grocery store with Mama. We're gonna give an update on that. We're gonna talk about the Valentine's Day decorations that we got, but first, so you know that a book is real, that you have something, oh my god, I can't even freaking talk. You know that something is real. What? Look, I just read the prologue and I had to do a reading update. That's how shocking the prologue was. This book, the scene in this book, that the prologue is so shockingly disturbing. Was expecting, it just really set a vibe. It's giving horror book. So this book seems like it's actually going to be far more brutal than I anticipated, and I am ready. The book literally opens up with a torture scene. And the torture scene was, look, what happened to the person in this scene, I would not wish on my worst enemy. Like, that was rough. I felt it visceral. I feel it in the back of my ears. It just, ooh, oh no. So very, very excited about that. But we ended up going grocery shopping. We spent way too much money, but we got a lot of yummy, yummy, yummy stuff. And we did go pick up some Valentine's Day decorations. We did not end up getting that organizer for the bathroom. I want to just quick show what we got from the dollar store and then get back to reading because I am dying to continue with this book. We're really excited about this. You guys know that there's that 3-walled corner in this area here where my Christmas tree just was, and so there we're gonna put up these signs. I literally love them. So 2 of them say love, 1 of them says be mine, the other one says I love you. Like, how adorable. We got some garlands, and we also, okay, drama queen. We also picked up another garland that has these little pom-poms, like super cute. I cannot wait to put these up on the walls. This is a glitter heart garland, and I'm really excited about this one. I think it's gonna look gorgeous. I also picked up some decorative ribbon that has these red, white, and pink polka dots. I'm so excited for the Be My Valentine ball. The Be My Valentine ball is going to be a live show featuring me and guest booktubers where we talk about romance books and we talk about things that we love, books that we've loved, just anything love-y. It doesn't even have to be romance. It can be our favorite platonic bonds in books, characters that make us happy, that sort of thing. So I'm doing that with my patrons and some guest booktubers in February. And I'm just so excited to have like all of these decorations up when I do that live show. I literally cannot wait. Got some really cute heart socks for my mama, and then we got some Valentine's Day themed dish towels. So I am looking forward to seeing that when I go into the kitchen. Another really cute garland. This says love. I'm excited to see that hanging. And I believe that that is all. All right, friends, now I am going to update you when I have more to say on this very salacious, shocking novel. Mom is about to make steak quesadillas for dinner. Steak and what again?
Fajita quesadilla.
Fajita quesadillas. What is that? Ooh, do I have book mail?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you show the book mail, Mama? Okay.
Oh,
Show me the book. I'm tortured.
wait.
Brutes. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you.
Yes.
See what's in the box. From Catapult Books. Jesse, I hope you enjoy your time with these brutes. That's funny. From Kendall. Thank you, Kendall at Catapult. So there's some glitter. Can't wait to find use for that. Ooh, there's tatuajes. Tattoos that say brute. That is really exciting. And then there's, oh God, butterfly hair clips.
Look at them. Look at them. They're giving.
Smack me and tell me I'm pretty.
Can I?
No, don't.
Okay, fine.
Mama's gonna make fajita quesadillas for dinner and I am very, very excited about that. She's also warming up some frijoles. And I'm even more excited about that because I love me some beans. So thus far I'm on chapter 9, which is page 43 of the things we do to our friends. And this book is so fucked up. It's so much more disturbing than I ever could have anticipated. Like literally ever. And it's also very fast moving. There's just some lines in here that are giving me pause. I feel like our main character isn't necessarily the smartest. I don't think that she's quite astute because the warning signs are flashing. It's giving red flag literally everywhere. There's basically big neon signs yelling, stop, stop, stop. This character is desperate, hungry to reinvent herself. She literally goes to college away from where she grew up so that she can start a new kind of personality and is trying to find people that will help mold her into the person that she wants to be. These lines crack me up. Samuel grinned. It's a funny story. I smiled encouragingly, even though I've always hated it when people say that. Surely it's up to me to decide if it's funny or not. I just got a kick out of that. But I thought about that and I was like, yeah, that is actually really true. There's another line that I was like,
damn girl, you are brutal.
She's out smoking on the deck with this really glamorous girl named Ava, who I'm very interested in. Ava seems like she's very subtly trying to warn Claire, like, girl, you need to get up out of here. It's not the vibe, it's not the move. Claire's narrating and she says that Ava smiles, but it's unfortunate because it doesn't suit her face. And I'm like, damn, Claire is brutal. This girl is cutting like a scalpel. Ava literally says to Claire, Tabitha likes you, you're just her type. And it was a big red flag because you could tell she didn't mean type in a romantic sense. And instead of thinking critically about this, Claire's just flattered that she's Tabitha's type, but it's like, no, it means that there's a pattern here and what happened to the other people
within the pattern.
I'm just really excited. I love how ominous it is and how tight the tension is from page 1. I love this book so far. What in the white people? I cannot with Claire. Just honestly can't relate. This character lives on the moon because she is sitting in a car with one of these rich boys and he starts smiling and just swerves intentionally into traffic. And when she's like, what the fuck, dude? He says, I just wanted to see what you do. No! Does she get out of the car? Does she block his number? Does she stop talking to him? Nope, they just keep hanging out even more then. I feel like she thinks it's brought them closer somehow, like they've shared an experience, but the experience was near death. Chair but make it electric. It could never be me. And then she's snooping through one of the girls' homes. And of course, when you snoop, you're gonna find some shit. And sure enough, she finds something very disturbing. Is there anything that comes after a red flag? Is there a black flag? Find something very disturbing. And you know what she does?
She feels closer to the girls.
She wants to keep hanging out with the girls. She runs into their arms. Listen, it is the next day and I am about ready to careen into traffic. I feel like the things we do to our friends is the equivalent of a great first date and then you find out about their baggage. That is literally this book. The book puts on a great face. It's giving fantastic thriller, great atmosphere, all of that things. And once you are hooked, it becomes the most boring thing that I've ever read. I feel like somebody else is writing the rest of the story because all of that tension and excitement has just gone out of the window. Claire is too irresponsible to be in charge of her own life. One of the girls is like, yeah, I want you to come to France with us. We're not going to tell you why. We're going to fly you out to France to this remote castle. We have a proposition to make for you once we get there. No, you can propose it here on soil that I have rights in.
She of course does it.
And they start doing this project, this thing. I don't want to spoil it. The project or thing takes over the narrative, and it is not interesting to me in the slightest, but now it's a huge part of the book. However, this is where fashion really becomes crucial to the story. Their clothes were a constant source of fascination. They both wore dresses a lot. Tabitha chose slippery little pieces that draped on her or skimmed her body like a second skin in some places. Her obsession with Klimt was easy to see. Necklines often fell in a deep V to reveal the bones of her chest. Lots of gold too. Ava was not a painting or an ornament. She had all the clean lines of a brutalist building, that mid-construction, as her dresses were structurally complex in the vein of scaffolding. Leather cut with net and fabrics I'd never even seen before that rippled or creased. There was always a tie or a place where the material was cut out, forcing her to fiddle with. I'm sure this is on purpose. It drew the eye to her neck as she readjusted a bow or a zip. It made me want to reach out and touch her, and I often did because all of us felt our way around each other with touch. Where one of us ended and the other began, the boundaries were barely there anymore. And then it talks about how clothes are essential to the project that they are doing. So I would definitely say that this book is satisfying that battle ball gown prompt. Another thing we want to talk about is that Tabitha is the center of these girls' universe. And this book is falling into the same trap that Astrid Sees All fell into and Social Creature, where the main character becomes really obsessed with this rich, glamorous girl, but the girl is boring as shit. It is the equivalent to Taylor Jenkins Reid giving us Evelyn Hugo and then writing all of these mediocre female characters after, such as Carrie Soto, such as what was the biggest letdown? The Girl in Malibu Rising. You know what I mean? Where you're just kind of told that this girl is amazing and charismatic and everybody is obsessed with her, but you aren't really shown it in a way that's believable. Like, for example, with Evelyn Hugo, you believe that Evelyn Hugo is a bad bitch. With Tabitha, you're simply told that she's cool, and nothing really is giving that. She seems very frivolous. She doesn't seem charismatic to me. She seems actually quite annoying. She is supposed to be charismatic and interesting and pretty enough to draw everybody into this orbit and have everybody bamboozled, that kind of thing. Just doesn't seem realistic. Incredibly boring. The middle of the book is lagging. It's giving They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, which is a good thing. However, They Never Learn did not bore me for one single second. Now, I will say at this point in the book, things are truly going down. They're getting real. The danger element is there. There's been a lot of criminal activity and questionable ethics lines being crossed, that kind of thing, but I'm just not interested in it the way that I was earlier in the story. So I actually only have like 40 pages left. I'm gonna finish this book and I'm going to give my final rating and get back to you, but honestly, it went down from a high 3 to maybe a low 3, potentially 2.5. I'm on page 270 and there's 321 pages. Now today is going to be a very busy, chaotic day. In about an hour, a dog trainer is coming to help Akasha with some aggressive sibling rivalry issues that she's been exhibiting, which has made me really sad. After that, I have an appointment for my eyelashes, and then finally after that we have to go to the vet and make an emergency appointment because last night I found a lump the size of my hand with my fingers spread out on the back of one of my mom's dogs. The lump is this big. It's on the back of her neck and it's like full of fluid and really jiggly, and we're both very freaked out. So thankfully my vet is able to get us in today at 4 and we're gonna take her there and get her sorted out. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Maybe it's just a cyst that needs to be drained. I don't know, but it seems like it popped up overnight. So then we have to do that. So I'm gonna be very busy all day, and we will check in when we do. What's up, y'all? So I have just finished the things we do to our friends. which was aggressively mediocre, giving it a very generous 2-star. It feels like the equivalent of going on a fantastic date with a man and then finding out on your 3rd date that he doesn't believe women should have rights. It was such a disappointment. We were doing so well. I don't know what happened. So disappointed in that book. But this concludes the end of our TBR Cards reading vlog, the first ever TBR Cards reading vlog that I have done. We covered 3 cards, the Battle Ball Gown card, the Habat Na card, and the neurodiverse card. So I'm really, really pleased with how this little experiment went. Let me know which other cards in the TBR card deck that you're most interested in me doing a reading vlog or recommendations video for, and I will see y'all in my next one.